So these are the Spheros. The ones we have in the classroom are all white. This is an example of one that's all clear. This is my personal Sphero. To wake them up, you have to tap them so that the lights come on, like that. And then while they will flash the 3 colors. So they're labeled by like PYB. It should flash purple, white, blue. And then when it turns all blue, it should be connected, is the goal. If they do not connect right away, that's when you have to troubleshoot a little bit. So on the iPads, you'll have to go into settings, under Bluetooth. Like right now, mine is blue, and it says PBO is connected, which is why written on them, it also tells you what the letters are. And then you also have to make sure that you grab the right iPad number that matches your Sphero, so that, because they're all synced to one iPad, so if you try to sync them to multiple iPads, then it gets a little confusing too. So if you go under Bluetooth, if you see like your PYD, if you just click it, it should connect then. Did you find your signal?
This says connected.
Okay, you might tap.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. All right, and then you put the cases on. I like to tell the kids they look like little Pac-Men.
Yeah.
And these can go like underwater. They can be dipped in paint. They're pretty versatile. I tell the kids, like, obviously always on the floor, but if you're doing something on the table, just try not to let them fall on the floor. So there's 3 different apps on the iPads now. There's Lightning Lab, Sphero, and then Tickle, and they have their own section. I typically use Lightning Lab when I'm coding. The Sphero one, they like to drive with it. They can like hold the iPad and kind of maneuver it in different directions or drive it with their finger. And then the Tickle one looks more like an actual coding software, and then you just, like, you don't necessarily even have to use it with the Sphero. So Lightning Lab is the one they're going to be the most familiar with. And it should tell you, like, on the bottom your Sphero's connecting and when it's connected. And this is the first time since they've been updated that we've used them, so you'll just swipe all the way to the end, and at the very bottom it says continue as a guest. And then, so it'll probably kind of walk us through a tutorial anyways, but probably when you guys actually use them, this won't be on there anymore. So you'll click the blue plus sign, and that's how you're going to start your program. So then you would just put in, you know, your kids, they're working in partners, can put in both of their names, and this way when they, if they're working on it multiple days, they can come back and all their work will still be here. So it automatically pops up with a code. So right now, when we push start, it would turn blue. It'll roll for 1 second at about half speed, and it's going to go 0 degrees, which is straight. So that's the biggest key, basically, is because the kids don't always necessarily comprehend that it has like a direction. So how you aim it is up in the corner. It says aim, and then you notice there's a little light inside. We call that the tail light. Some friends think that's a headlight, but no, it's a tail light. So the tail light has to face the opposite direction that you want it to go. So like the tail light would face 180 degrees, so it would be going 0 degrees. When they're driving it, like if they're like wandering around, I tell them to have the light face you. That way when you're going, you know, it will know where you are. But if you're just stationary making a program, then they need to be able to know that, you know, that's the tail light, 0 degrees is opposite. So like right now mine would go for 1 second that way, because my tail light was facing this way. It's really easy like on the floor to go with the lines to line it up. And so it'll roll straight, and then it says a delay, pausing for a second, and then it will turn and go, it should come back. So if you guys want to move your scales, I'll just show you with mine. So it should roll for a second, pause, rolls back.
Very cool.
Okay. So how to create your own program then, we can, let's just drag these ones up to the trash. So you'll just click on the word, and you can swipe it up to the trash then. Okay, so I always tell them I like to set the color first, but some of them like to play a sound first. It all just kind of depends what you want to handle. So down on the very bottom, you see like actions, controls, operations, all that stuff. Well, I honestly haven't got past actions and controls. I mean, I know that there's a lot of like variables and all kinds of stuff happening, but we haven't gotten there in our lives yet. So under actions is where there's like the roll. The stop is kind of confusing because that will actually stop the program. It's not like the pause, that's actual like you're done.
Okay.
So if you're just like trying to do like a figure 8 or something, you'll repeat, and then stop. So that's kind of where they get confused. Set color is like how it turned. The blue, play sound. So if you drag that one up, if you click on play sound, there's all these different wonderful sound effects that the iPad will make. So that's kind of fun if you're doing something that would involve making sounds. Sometimes it's just, just an extra effect for them.
Yeah.
But it's funny because in the Spheros, the sound will come out of the iPad, but on our other robots, the Finches, the sound actually comes out of the Finch. So just a little bit kind of different. And then if you go to speak, I believe that's where it will pop up on the screen and say something. Like if we type like hello, it will actually sound like an alligator sound. It might say hello actually. I have to remember. Maybe not. I don't know. That one's a little confusing also, which is kind of the set heading, I don't use that one, or the spin, the fade. I don't use those three. I just set those in the roll. If you have the strobe, that will just like flash a whole bunch of colors, or just a color. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So with the strobe, you could tell it, flash pink for 2 seconds, 5 times, or like it'll flash, So if I push start, I should have my alligator sound, and then it flashes pink.
Hello.
Did you change your zeros on the strobe? No. Yeah. That's something too that they'll often forget. It's like, well, I told it to roll. Well, where'd you tell it to roll to?
Yeah.
Oh. How long did you tell it to roll for?
Oh.
The raw motor, I'm not sure about that one or the other ones. Like I mean, we're very picky kind of about what we want to choose. Honestly, you guys could literally just tell them you can use rolls and delays, and that's it. It just kind of depends what you want to manage. So I'm going to delete my stuff, and I'll kind of explain the roll a little bit if you want to just drag up a roll. And they don't understand too that you have to click like on the word to drag it. Like they will be like, why won't it go anywhere? But the word. So the 3 zeros, the first one stands for the duration, how long it's going to roll for. For the most part, I tell my kiddos like no more than a second because of our tiny little costumes.
Yeah.
Some of them will roll for like 60 seconds, and it's like, oh, it's down the hallway. So, depending on what you're doing, you can kind of gauge. When I had like the big squares on the floor, I gave them 1 second because I knew how fast it would go for a second, knowing that it doesn't need to go any more than that. And if you're working on decimals, you could have them do like half seconds or quarter second. You could tie that in too. The next one is the speed. With these cases on, you have to go at least 60, or it doesn't have enough power to actually push it over. So I know sometimes they try to go really slow, like right now with my 37 speed, it just kind of shakes. And so you have to go a little bit faster so that it will actually have enough power to roll.
Cool.
And then the third one is the direction. So you can kind of talk about angles a little bit here too with the 0 degrees, or you can just tell them the arrow. Kind of different. Like with first graders, we say arrows. With fifth grade, we tie in that 90-degree angle. Is that right turn? Or
Yes.
and then we have to talk about like the 180. They're like, well, it's going backwards. I'm like, yes. Or sometimes even some kiddos, the way that their brain functions, they will have, instead of going 0 degrees, they'll make it go the same direction of the tail light. And so they'll kind of do everything backwards, which it still works. It's just that's how they function. So so depending on what you're doing as far as directions, I'll just set mine at 0. And then if I want to add in another roll, you have to make sure you pause unless you're trying to arch. Because right now, I'm going to make this not go for very long so it won't fall off the table. I'll just put in another roll, and I'm going to go just for not very long. So if I don't put in a delay, it'll roll straight. Dang it. Not fast enough. It will curve.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to set the direction. That's why it's not doing what I want it to do. Sorry. So see how it kind of just like,
Yeah.
So if you put under the controls now in the purple, if you put in that pause in between your rolls and just for a second, then that'll allow it to actually go straight, pause, and then it will turn. So to just, if you're trying to make a circle, you probably don't want any pauses. If you're trying to make a square, you would. And then if you want it to go continuously, you can loop it. Whether you just go back through your program one time or through your whole program, or loop until, stop is pushed. I mean, there's a lot more advanced things you could do, but just kind of the basics are the rolls, the delays, the colors, sounds. If at any point your Sphero looks like this, that means it's off. So you can try to wake it back up. If you got nothing, you probably have to get another one. They're supposed to take 3 hours to charge, take an hour of life. However, they're old, so we're getting there. If they start flashing red, that means they're dying. And so they have a little bit more time, but once it's actually off and won't come back on, then it's dead. I don't know why I didn't get a warning, but that's kind of where we're at in our world right now, trying to figure things out. Do you guys want to explore this app for a little bit, or do you want me to show you another one?
Show us another one and
An
then
app.
we can explore.
Okay. So if you go to just the Sphero app, then this is the one that.
Sphero detected. Initializing connection. Sphero detected. Initializing connection.
Oh, wow. Okay. There we go. Wyatt's mom is on her way. You can. I'll take her just a couple of things. So when you would get here, you would click play. And you can just feel. Did you turn yours off? I've never actually listened to this before. The kids actually usually click through it. But this one's set up as more of like a game. So you have like stages to get through and different things. I'm just going to skip it for now.
Sphero on the ground.
Okay.
Sphero has a blue tail light.
So it kind of goes through a tutorial also the first time.
Press and hold the aim button.
Shows them how to
Then
aim.
spin your finger until the blue light is pointing at you.
Yep, and that's where they get confused.
The blue tail light.
That's where they get confused from this app to the other app, because in this one they want the light to face them so that they can be more active.
Use the aim button to adjust. Use
I'm
the
just gonna click
joystick
out of this
to
so
move
that we can.
Sphero around.
How do we? Okay, so now there's in the middle. Right now it's set to where you move it with your finger, and it will go. If it's aimed, it will go in the right direction. So you aim in that bottom left-hand corner of the circle. You'll drag your finger until it's facing you. You can definitely turn the sound off if you want to in your classrooms. Just kind of depends. The little paint palette over there will change the color of the light of your Sphero.
And brightness.
Depending. Some of them think it's funny to turn it black and then be like, it's dead, just kidding. No. So,
Okay.
just kind of be ready for that. And then, let's see. Where you see like the iPad, like with the arrow in it, that's the one where
Press
you,
this button to disable the joystick and enable tilt
now you
button.
tilt your iPad in the direction you want it to go. To get that off, you just click that again. So some kids, like the first graders, love to use their finger. They think that's fantastic. But the big kids, because it's hard to get it to, do exactly what you want it to do. The turtle and the rabbit are your speed.
This is Sphero's speed
Okay,
control.
I don't like this
Tap the
tutorial.
rabbit to go faster, or the turtle to go slower.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll be like, it's not going anywhere. Well, their speed's all the way down. So,
That's what I just did.
yeah. And then if you look over, there's like that rainbow with the Sphero.
When they switch between
That's where you do
tricks
like, you
to
can
a
unlock
rock in the
tricks.
core workshop.
So it'll have
Press the
like,
button above to use the active trick.
I want it to stop talking to me. Sorry. So there's all these different things. Like there's one where it'll do like a figure 8 and it'll play like the Nutcracker song.
Oh, cool.
That someone's like already programmed in here. So like the football one, it's like a celebration dance. So when every time you would click that, then it like, yay! We just
Ah.
cool.
Cool.
Like, so they think that that's like fantastic. So,
Yeah.
but that's also why this app is more geared for kind of just exploring and stuff. And then, I mean, there's just, honestly, the kids are the experts on this one. I haven't explored this app as much. And then the other app I'll show you is Tickle. No, you're fine, thank you. I don't like that these all have these tutorials. So this one's kind of the same way. It has things that are already programmed, or they can start their own. They just have to make sure, oh, I didn't know you could use Lego. We do with this. Interesting. So they have to make sure they click the Sphero Spark.
On devices. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so this is pretty similar. This looks more like code.org.
Gotcha.
You start a new project, sorry.
Okay.
I don't want to. Okay, so this is where then they would click the
Okay.
Sphero,
Sorry, I was on the
and then it pulls up.
Okay.
And so they have to make sure that like they see Sphero up here. If it's not, then it will, it's not actually connected. But it's kind of the same way. They just kind of drag over
Okay.
what they need.
It does look a lot like
They
that.
click play. Yeah, this is the big kids enjoyed this one more because it's similar to
Yeah.
what they've seen before. And it's very much like move for 1 second at 50% speed. It's not as kind of vague as the other one. But this one, so it changes the colors, repeats 4 times, move for half a second, half speed, wait a second, turns right. So you can have them do, I mean, this one's kind of endless as far as what they would actually
Very cool.
program, but works kind of the same way, drag over what you need. They love to make it jump. And then they'll be like, oh, neck massage. Anyway, so,
Crazy.
but that sound makes
Yes.
me crazy. But, so those are the 3 kind of the main apps that they use. So, yeah.
Perfect. Which one would you recommend for moon phases?
I would probably do Lightning Lab,
Okay.
just because it's the one that they're going to be the most familiar with,
Okay.
honestly. So this time there's not the tutorial. So
Gotcha. Yes.
it won't connect to the server because I haven't signed in on these on purpose. So on the bottom then you will click the programs, and that's where they can
Click the plus.
start a new one.
Okay.
Yep. And then I'm not sure, I usually just do the block programming. I'm not sure exactly what the draw and text ones are,
Okay.
but we use the blocks, which is just the dragging up like we
Very cool.
practice.
Okay. Because then they could program like it's going to go here, here,
Mhm.
and then all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yep. And I know that if you look in like, I don't know if I have to sign in, but I know there's like programs made already that they can see, I maybe that's just because I haven't signed in, where they could have it programmed to be like a figure 8 already, or
Okay.
make a big circle already, but I feel like it'd be better to send
Yeah, I
them
want
either
them to
one.
kind of do it. Yeah.
So on this app too, you also can drive with your finger.
Cool.
It just kind of, but I like to make them code. I think
Yes. Definitely.
it's better that way. But yeah,
Yay.
so Sphero in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Thank you for showing me.
You're welcome.
I'm excited.